buying books and reading books are two separate hobbies, okay? I don't care that I already have a copy of this book on my shelf. I need the pretty special edition, okay? Literally spent so much money, but really I didn't spend that much money because it was essentially free because I used a gift card. Girl math. Me just trying to rationalize getting more books because I just love books and I love collecting books. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is super fun, which is my bookish Christmas list. This is essentially all the bookish items that I'm asking for Christmas, and hopefully it will give you guys, my fellow book lovers, some ideas what to ask for Christmas. So let's get into it. So the first bookish item on my Christmas list is a reading journal. I have been wanting to start a reading journal for such a long time, but the maintenance and the upkeep that is kind of associated with a reading journal has been kind of what is putting me off from having one. But after watching Sarah Caroli do hers this entire year, I just kind of fell in love with the idea of having a reading journal and just like sitting down once a month and like doing my reading journal, doing all the fun little prompts, and then at the end of the year you can look back and see how many books you read, what you thought about those books, things like that. I already kind of keep a digital reading journal on my Notion, but I feel like the idea of just like having these fun pages and coloring and then like listening to an audiobook at the end of every single month is just like a total vibe. So that is the first thing that I will be asking for Christmas. So following the theme of a reading journal and all the supplies that you need, I'm also asking for some markers, mainly because I don't live at home anymore and I feel like that's where all my art supplies are. So I need some markers to fill out my reading journal with, and yeah. So the next item on my Christmas list is also somewhat related to a reading journal, and it is the HP Sprocket. This, in a nutshell, is a sticker printer. I do not currently own a printer, nor do I really want one. They're just really bulky and they cost a lot of money and the ink costs a lot of money, and I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, I'm not very tech savvy when it comes to stuff like that. Like, if the printer ran out of paper and my fiance was not here, I wouldn't know how to refill it. I feel like I just exposed myself for not being able to do some of these simplest tasks, but like, I'm just not tech savvy like that. I don't know why. So I just feel like the HP Sprocket is a great alternative and kind of fits my needs a little bit more. Like the fact that it prints out stickers and you can print out your own customized stickers and your own pictures just really speaks to me. Like, you're telling me I can make my own bookish stickers to put in my reading journal, like sign me up. The main reason why I'm wanting it is because I want to print out little stickers of all the books I read that month and then like use it for all my different spreads. I feel like it'd just be so nice. I saw a girl on TikTok do this for her reading journal and I was like, add to cart. I need that, please. So the next thing on my wish list is a given. It's so obvious, and that is Bookstore gift cards. If you don't know what to ask for gift cards. Like, it is the perfect gift for a bookworm to just be able to go to the bookstore and not actually spend any of your money but leave with a bunch of books. Like, that is a dream come true. We love gift cards. I also don't have a Barnes near me, so when I go to Barnes, I make a day out of it. It is a trip. It is an excursion, okay? And last year, I stocked up on all my gift cards from Christmas, from my birthday, and I went and I literally spent so much money. But really, I didn't spend that much money because it was essentially free because I used a gift card. Girl math. However, if you don't want to support big chain stores like Barnes & Noble and you want to shop a little bit local, honestly, just buy gift cards from indie bookstores. Most of the time, they do have an e-commerce site, so you can just use the gift card online, and then that way, you're still supporting a small business. So the next thing that is on my bookish Christmas list are special editions. I feel like recently there are a lot of new special editions. I feel like whenever I go to Walmart, Target, or even like Barnes & Noble as of recently, there are a bunch of special editions from all your favorite authors. And I feel like before this happened, you couldn't really get special editions unless you had a Owl Crate or Fairy Loot subscription. And sometimes getting on the waiting list and getting accepted into programs like that takes forever. So I love that special editions are becoming a little bit more mainstream in like normal stores, because that means everyone can get them, you know? It just becomes a little bit more accessible is what I'm trying to get at. But here are a few special editions that I personally have my eye on. So first up, we have the Knockabout series. These special editions are beautiful. I love Lucy's Score. I love the Knockabout series. It's such a cute small town romance series, and the found family is like literally to die for. So it is technically a trilogy, and it's an interconnected standalone series. So you don't really have to read them all, and you don't really have to read them in order as well. But I highly recommend that you do, because you do get spoilers if you jump between books. So I'll kind of give you a synopsis of each book. So Things We Never Get Over is the first one, and it is about Naomi and Knox, and it's a little bit of a grumpy ex-sunshine trope. There's also a really cute dynamic between Naomi and her niece. Naomi has a twin sister who is kind of a loose cannon, not the best person to be around, and she's kind of hated around this small town of Knockabout. Knox is very grumpy, but he cares about the people that he loves, and he loves the town Knockabout. So he's just a little bit wary of Naomi because of her sister's reputation. And there's also a little bit of a subplot of like crime and mystery, which I really enjoyed. I'm pretty sure they're making this entire series into a TV show or movie series. Don't quote me on that because I might be wrong. I feel like it's been a hot minute since I've heard news about it. But last time I heard, they were making this series into a movie or a TV show of some sorts. The next book we have is Things We Hide from the Light. This is about Knox's brother, Nash, and it takes place right after the first book, and Nash has kind of been going through some things. It's a lot of emphasis on mental health. The main female character, I think her name is Lena, she's a very badass female character. Like, she is a secret agent, I think, or an investigation person, I don't know, but she just has a kind of a dangerous job, and Nash is a police officer, and yeah, that's really all I can remember about that one. And then the third and final book is about Lucian and Sloane. This is a second chance romance between childhood friends to lovers. And even though they were childhood friends, something happened in between that time where they just drifted apart, they got in an argument or something, and now they don't really like each other. I was honestly so excited about the third one because Lucian is he's just everything, okay? I'm sorry. He's just everything. He has this like kind of suspicious job. He's a very silent but deadly character, and I just eat it up. The next special edition that I have been eyeing is Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I love Icebreaker so much. It kind of took the book community by storm last year, and I was one of those people, okay? I ate it up. Nate Hawkins, love him. The minute I saw this book, I just knew I had to have it in my book collection. I feel like I just need to preface this by saying buying books and reading books are two separate hobbies, okay? I don't care that I already have a copy of this book on my shelf. I need the pretty special edition, okay? So Icebreaker is the first book of the Maple Hills series, which is an interconnected standalone series about a college hockey team, and it has this huge emphasis on found family, which I just adore. I love found family. I will always be a sucker for found family. And then you add hot hockey players, like what more could you want? This book is specifically about Nathan Hawkins and Stassi, or maybe her name is like Anastasia. I don't know. But he calls her Stassi, so I'm just gonna call her that. But Nathan is like the star hockey player. He's the captain of the team. And Stassi is a figure skater. And basically, something happens to the hockey player's practice arena. It floods or something. So the hockey team and the figure skaters are forced to kind of share the facilities. And at first, Stassi is like not for this. She's trying to win this competition. She's trying to go to the Olympics. And this is just going to ruin her entire plan. And so she doesn't really like Nathan at first, but something happens and he's basically forced to kind of step in and become her partner. And it's just so cute. I like it. It was pretty spicy, however, so if you don't love that kind of stuff, then this might not be the book for you. I will say, I think the spice does die down the farther you get into the series, but yeah. Icebreaker was a 5-star read for me. I love the Maple Hills series. I literally cannot stress that enough. So the last two special editions I'm asking for Christmas are One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. I'm pretty sure these are exclusive to Barnes & Noble, so you can only get them at that store. But I love the Shepherd King duology. I feel like duologies are so fun because you can still really dive into the characters and the relationship dynamics and the plot, but you don't really have to commit to a full-on series. Like, it is literally the best of both worlds. One Dark Window was literally my first 5-star read of 2024, so I feel like I have to get the special edition because we need to commemorate this milestone, people, okay? Me just trying to rationalize getting more books because I just love books and I love collecting books. When I read this duology earlier this year, this was my first time ever reading any sort of gothic fantasy, and it really opened my eyes to like different subgenres of fantasy, and I loved it. But One Dark Window is about Elspeth Spindle, and she has this like monster in her head that she calls the Nightmare, and she lives in this kingdom that is plagued by this like mist, and it is essentially like infecting the townspeople of this kingdom. People are dying really young, they're going crazy, and basically the only thing that can lift the mist is finding all the cards in this playing deck. And I just loved the magic system in this book. It was so good, and it's also such a unique premise. There's all these different playing cards, and each playing card grants a different power, but magic is very transactional, so everything comes with a price. So for example, there's this card that like makes you so beautiful, like literally a living goddess, but the trade-off is that you lose all your compassion and empathy, so you basically just become like a stone cold person. And I think it's just such a fun take on magic and the things that you have to give up for this magic. If you haven't read this duology yet, like highly recommend. I think it's such a good fast-paced read. So those are all these special editions I'm asking for Christmas. Now let's move on to the books I'm just wanting in general. These are just some books that I've had my eye on that I've heard good things about, and if they made their way under my tree, I wouldn't be complaining, okay? So the first book on my list is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I've actually already read this book, but I liked it so much that I want my own physical copy. It's about this game called Phantasma, and it's basically a traveling competition. It goes from town to town, and if you win, you get a prize granted by the devil himself, I think, or like the prince of hell, something like that. And the competition takes place in this like haunted mansion. It's hosted by all these demons and devils and phantoms, and yeah, it's very high stakes. They go through different trials, and I'm telling you, these trials kept me on the edge of my seat. My heart was like pounding whenever I had to read those chapters. But the main character is a necromancer. Her family has a long history of being necromancers and having this magic in New Orleans. And she ends up entering the game of Phantasma to find her younger sister. And it also has this great subplot of romance. Like, it is such a fun book. I think I rated it like 4.25. There's gonna be another book in the series about her sister as well, which I am like so excited about. So I feel like because it's going to be a series, it wouldn't hurt to have the physical copies of every single book from the series. I also feel like since it is going to be a series, just like having the complete series on my shelf when it is finished will be so aesthetically pleasing. Like, come on. So the next book on my list I also already read, and that is Nightbane by Alex Astor. This is the second book of the Lightlark trilogy, and I read this on my Kindle originally. I loved Lightlark so much. It was a 5-star read for me that the minute I finished it, I had to have the second book, and I could not wait for Amazon's like 2-day shipping, and it was all out of stock at all my bookstores, so I just bought it on my Kindle and I read the ebook. However, since I love the series so much, I feel like it is a crime that I do not have all the books. I have the first book and I have the third book. I do not have the second book at all. And I hate having incomplete series on my shelf, so asking for Nightbane was just a must. Like, come on, guys. Since Nightbane is the second book in the series, I'm not going to give you guys the synopsis, but I will tell you what Lightlark is about. So Lightlark is actually this very high stakes competition, which if you don't know by now, I love a good high stakes competition in a fantasy book. I feel like Phantasma was a high stakes competition. This is a high stakes competition. Like, do you see a running theme with my book taste? But our main character, Isla Crown, she is the ruler of this realm, and there are 5 other realms besides hers. And something happened like a long time ago where a curse kind of befell all of them. So Lightlark is kind of the opportunity for all these rulers to break the curse and also to win a really great prize. But in order to win Lightlark and to release the curses, I guess, or get rid of them, whatever, you have to kill one of the rulers. But what makes it even more high stakes is that if the ruler dies, all of their people will as well. So you're like literally condemning a whole civilization to just... So, very intense situation, okay? Like I mentioned earlier, Lightlark was a 5-star book for me. This series is a 5-star series for me. I just love it. I feel like it's also one of the only series that like does a love triangle well. There is no clear favorite from the author on who she's gonna end up with, but I obviously have my favorite. I obviously am on a side, but I haven't read the final book yet, so I don't know how it ends, so please do not spoil it for me. So the next book on my list is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. This is the 3rd book of the Crowns of Nyxia series by Carissa Broadbent. She's the author who wrote The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is essentially vampire Hunger Games. And even though this is the 3rd book of the series, it does follow a new protagonist who we've already met. I'm really bad at pronouncing her name, but her name is like Mishka or Mishk or something. But we first meet her in The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and she is like the friend of the main male character. And in that book, we kind of learn little bits and pieces about her backstory. She used to be this very high religious figure for the sun god, and that's who she worshipped. However, when she was turned into a vampire against her will, her sun god kind of forsaken her and kind of forgot about her. And so when she's kidnapped by this like vampire prince later on, and he kind of forces her to go on this mission with her, she kind of sees it as this opportunity to betray him and to get back in the good graces of her sun god. I am so excited about this book. It's a new release. I think it just came out in like November. I love Carissa Broadbent. She is such an amazing fantasy author. I think she puts so much thought and effort into her world building and political systems and magic system that it's just such a well thought out world. Like, it feels so real. Like, how could it not be real? I'm also really excited to learn more about Mishka and all the different types of vampires, because the vampire prince that we're following is a different clan, I guess. I think the first 2 books followed the Nightborn, and he is some other kind of vampire. So I feel like the lore that we're about to get in this book is going to be amazing. So the next book on my list is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonman Young, and I have heard such amazing things about this book, so I've been dying to read it, even though it does have a trope that I'm not normally a fan of, so I am a little bit apprehensive. But Sarah Caroli raved about this book in one of her newest videos, and she talked about how she normally doesn't like the trope that is in this book, but in this book she just like loved it. It just worked. It was very well done. So I feel like this book is kind of a chance for me to branch out, try new things. It's also the first book of a series. I think the 2nd book in the series is about their friends, and they're married, but their marriage is failing, so they go on this retreat to fix their marriage, and that sounds so interesting to me. And because I don't really jump around in interconnected standalone series, I have to read Out on a Limb first, so hopefully I enjoy it. So next up, we have A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. This is her newest release, and I just recently read The 7-Year Slip by her and loved it. Her writing style really reminds me of like Emily Henry or like Abby Jimenez, but like add an aspect of magical realism. She also wrote The Dead Romantics, which I haven't read yet, but I'm kind of wanting to go back and read it because that's how much I loved her writing in The 7-Year Slip. But A Novel Love Story follows this trend of magical realism meets contemporary romance, and it's about this girl, and she is a bookworm through and through, and one day she wakes up in the town of her favorite romance novel. I think this premise sounds so fun and like potentially chaotic. Like, imagine just waking up in like the small town that you read about in your favorite romance novels. Like, that is so fun, and I literally cannot wait to read this. The next book I have on my list is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This is another fantasy book that really took the book community by storm, but I kind of missed the hype. I didn't really read it when everyone else did, but I still want to give it a shot because I still hear great things about it. I just think I'm not really starting any new series right now because the year is ending. However, if I get this book for Christmas, I'll just start it in 2025. Like, new year, new book series, okay? But I don't really know anything about Quicksilver. I think it is a fae romance. The only reason why I've kind of been putting it off is because it's like 600 pages, and I have been battling a reading slump for such a long time. A 600 fantasy book doesn't seem like the right thing to read when you're in a reading slump. However, I'm now out of my reading slump, so I kind of want to see what the hype is about. I want to see if I like it, but yeah. And the last book of my wish list is How the King of Elfheim Learn to Hate Stories by Holly Black. This is a novella from The Cruel Prince, but it's all in Carden's POV, and I think it like recounts the first book. I don't know, or just like different chapters from every book, but it's Carden's POV is basically what I'm trying to say, and I really want to read something from Carden's POV. I really wish that the Cruel Prince trilogy was low-key dual POV because I feel like it would just add so much, but I'll take anything I can get. I'll take this little novella. That is fine with me. No complaints, okay? I'm slowly making my way through The Cruel Prince. I only have the third book left, The Queen of Nothing. So far, I would say it's a pretty good series. I enjoy it, but the romance is very slow burn. Like, it is very much a political, plot-heavy fantasy than a romance-heavy fantasy, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of people do hype up the romance, so when you go into it without knowing a lot, you just think it's going to be like straight-up enemies to lovers. But sometimes you have to really squint to see the romance, and that's okay with me. I think I've really hit the point of my reading journey where I don't need a romance subplot, but it does add a lot to my reading experience. So the last item on my bookish Christmas list is the Kindle Color Soft. This is kind of like the big gift I'm asking for Christmas. So there is a possibility that I might not get it, which is totally fine because I have a Kindle already. But for the longest time, I have been wanting an e-reader in color. And even though the Kobo is in color, I'm pretty sure, you can't read Kindle Unlimited books. So I would still have to have 2 e-readers because I'm not going to get rid of Kindle Unlimited. Like, I love that subscription so much. So I just felt like having 2 e-readers is just something I don't need. So just having everything in one with the Kindle Color Soft would be amazing. Obviously, there are some negative reviews out there. I know a lot of people have been returning it because there's like a yellow line or whatever, but I deep dived. I did so much research on the Kindle Color Soft, and even though there are a lot of negative reviews, there are a ton of positive reviews, and so I feel like it's just something that I want to try out and see for myself if I like it or not, and if I don't, I can always return it, which is totally okay. Plus, the upside about getting the new Kindle Color Soft is that I can give my mom my Paperwhite. She has been subtly, not so subtly, hinting that she wants my Kindle, so I feel like it's a win-win scenario. Even if the Kindle Color Soft does not appeal to you at all, try getting an e-reader. I love my Kindle so much because I feel like I read so much faster. I also feel like when you're reading at night in bed, it's so nice to hold like a tablet rather than a full-on like 600, 800 page book. You can also get those fun little stands that like will hold your Kindle for you, and then you have the little remote. I have one of the little remotes and it is just so fun. You kind of are like, why do I need this? Like, how much is this gonna add to my quality of life? And you would be surprised how much it does help. I'm not lying, I'm not kidding. So those are all the items on my bookish Christmas list. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this kind of gave you some inspiration on what to add to your own Christmas list, or if you have any bookish friends that you need to find gifts for, just some ideas. But yeah, if you enjoyed, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. Comment down below if there are any things that we have in common on our Christmas list or what you're asking for Christmas. I would love to know. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos. I have a ton of videos planned, so subscribe, turn on push notifications so you don't miss out. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.